So let me say this up front. A lot of people, especially on social media and things like that, are saying that they think that DraftKings will soon become a penny stock. And that is why I made that the title of this video. However, I do not believe that DraftKings will become a penny stock. And even if it did, I still think that it will be a buying opportunity. I think the market right now is testing a lot of people's beliefs on what they really believe about a certain company because everybody likes to say long term, I'm long term on the stock. But in these last few months, a lot of people are paper handed, and we found out that a lot of people are not long term. However, I am truly long term with DraftKings, and I think that a lot of investors that are in this stock are truly long term with DraftKings. So we need to talk about what the CEO did and what he said. So the CEO recently went on Bloomberg, and I just watched the entire interview, and he said a bunch of interesting things that I found to be quite interesting. He said that he does expect their NFT business to make them some money this year, which kind of goes with the overall thesis that I had that I expect the NFT market to do even better this year than it did last year. And I really love that DraftKings is capitalizing on that. Now, the CEO also did not expose how much money they specifically made from the Super Bowl. Why, I don't know. But he did say that they had 1.7 million active users on the app, which they said was a record. But for some reason, that sounds small to me. I don't know why. I feel like I got to look at the numbers, but I feel like the overall amount of people that bet on the Super Bowl was way more. And I feel like only having 1.7 million active users on your app is small. I don't know why, but I do. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I feel. And the other things that the CEO was basically saying, he thinks that the reason why his stock is down so much is not necessarily because of the bearish mindset around DraftKings spending money on marketing, but he actually thinks it's because growth stocks and unprofitable companies have fallen out of favor. And I actually agree with him. I actually do. And I think this does actually create a good opportunity for investors because we all know the market is shaking out some of the bad companies. You know, in 2021, we had a lot of horrible companies go public via SPACs. And I think the market is just kind of shaking those companies out. And I think what you're going to see is the companies that are actually good with good management and have actual real good business models, you know, good quality companies will survive. And I think that DraftKings is going to be one of those stocks. You know, a lot of these stocks won't survive. You're going to see a lot of these stocks become penny stocks and they're going to get bought up or they're just going to go bankrupt. But I do not see that happening to DraftKings, regardless of how bearish people are. Now, you're also starting to see a couple of rumors and people saying things like, oh, well, if DraftKings continues to go lower, somebody's going to buy them out. I guess that's possible, but I honestly do not see that happening. If I were to say they get bought out, I think the only company that could potentially buy DraftKings that would actually make sense and would make me as an investor happy would be Disney. Obviously, you guys know I'm a shareholder of Disney too. I love Disney and I love DraftKings as well. I think Disney buying DraftKings will make a whole lot of sense and will be good for the company. But honestly, I just don't see it. Jason Robbins, the CEO, just doesn't strike me as a guy who would just sell the company and just go away. You know, this is a guy who gets on interviews constantly and says that he wants to be the next Elon Musk and the next Jeff Bezos. You know, I don't think that he's the type of guy that's just going to sell his company, run away with his billions of dollars, and then just enjoy life. I think he wants to create a better legacy for himself. And so, one, I really don't see DraftKings going much lower unless the market were to like absolutely crash or something. But two, I just don't see DraftKings getting bought out. If anything, I see DraftKings buying other companies out. That's just what I think. I think one good positive that we're seeing for DraftKings going forward is that all the other sports betting companies are down huge. And I think that 2022 could be the year where you start to see some major players get taken out. You know, I think some of these other sports betting companies that are competitors to DraftKings, I do see a scenario where if their stock price continues to go lower and they continue to lose more and more money, I do see them possibly getting bought out. I do see that. I think some of these companies are going to get acquired, but I do not see that for DraftKings. And so overall, I'm going to keep this video short, but overall, still very bullish on DraftKings. I still like the direction that they're going. You know, I went and I looked at their earnings report again, and obviously there were some things I saw that I didn't like, but overall, the revenue's still growing. They're continuing to expand, and I really like what they're doing. And one thing that the DraftKings CEO hit hard on in his interview with Bloomberg is that they are still in the acquiring phase of their customers. And obviously, he's not going to be able to say that forever, but for right now, I think he can get away with that, especially given the fact that kind of what he's saying is starting to seem like it's working. I mean, this company is growing their revenue incredibly year over year. And I think a lot of people are discounting the fact that once they feel like they have a steady customer base and, a solid following, then they may be able to really pull back on the ad spending and really start to become a profitable business. I could definitely see that happening. And the last thing I want to say that was actually very exciting was that I saw on Twitter that DraftKings announced that Mike Golick Sr. will host a weekly podcast for DraftKings with Jessica Smetana. And for those who don't know, Follick is a former ESPN host and commentator who will now be hosting a 1-hour weekly video podcast alongside Jessica Smetana for DraftKings. And the show will cover the intersection of sports, news, and culture, and is slated to feature interviews with special guests. And the podcast is expected to debut this spring across major audio platforms. I think that's really cool. I think if DraftKings can go that direction and start to move towards the podcast and original content space, I think that will be very, very good for the business. And so, hey, it's very interesting to see this company grow. I mean, one thing you got to give DraftKings their credit on is they think outside the box, and they do things a lot different than your typical sports betting companies like Rivers or MGM or something like that, who just has your traditional casinos and the sports betting app. I mean, DraftKings is doing NFTs. Now they're doing podcasts. And some people might say this is all speculation, this is all speculative. But hey, back in the 2000s, people said the internet was speculative and blah, blah, blah. And so, you need a guy like Jason Robbins who's innovative and can kind of look to the future and see what's going to be hot going forward and able to get his company to adapt to that. And so that's why I've been telling you guys that I like DraftKings. That's why I think DraftKings is going to be a major player in the sports betting space, and that's why I continue to be invested in this company. And so that'll go ahead and conclude this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, subscribe if you like the video or my content, and I will see you guys in the next one.